To this day, rumors and sagas circulate about a lion coalition that went down in history as the Brothers in Blood. They ruled over a vast empire and turned Sabi Sands into a gangsta's paradise. To give you an idea of what a sight it was like when 5 or 6 Mapogos went to war and nothing could stand in their way, please take a look at this picture from April 7, 2008. Watching such a force coming towards you, with the roar that shakes the earth and the determination to kill everything that opposes them, it is this power that made them the undisputed rulers in Lion Kingdom. On July the 7th of 2008 in the savannah of Yalusaba with Mr. T, Kinky Tail and Pretty Boy. After the split among the coalition into the East and West Coast gang, the Mapogos often reunited. 3 of the notorious 6 browsed the African bush following their favorite skill, killing other lions. The Mapogos were notorious for killing other lions, especially Mr. T, who was brutal and merciless and earned the nickname the Satan of Africa. No matter if male lions, lionesses, or cubs, he was the killer. Even with his beloved brother Kinky Tail, he had some confrontations that proved the wild and ruthless side of these infamous males. The 2 youngest of the Mapogos were the gods of war, the kings of the East and North, the executors of many lion lives who dared to enter their realm. Until June 8, 2010, when the beginning of the end of the Mapogo story took its course. After days of abstinence, Satan and Shaka returned to the area of Nkoro. They smelled fresh tracks of unknown lions, and a killed buffalo of the intruders led them directly to them. This was an insult to majesty and absurdity, and the 2 Mapogo brothers were determined to put an end to this spat, just as they have done for years. It all started with a loud roar. The message came over the radio about the 2 Mapogo males moving on to Nkoro property again. After spending some time with 2 other vehicles watching them, I was left alone with the Mapogos. They were on a mission, and the words of Greg, a friend and ranger of a neighboring lodge earlier the morning, went through my mind. Karen, today we are going to have a war. They were sniffing, scent marking, walking in circles all the time. They left me guessing and confused from time to time. What are they up to? Losing visual of them and having 2 rangers responding and on their way, I had to try my luck and take another road to try and relocate them. Coming around a bend, I suddenly saw a male lion lying in tall grasses just off the road. My first thought was that it might be one of the Mapogos. Seconds later, I was proven very wrong. Mr. T and Kinky Tail came charging out the bushes in front of me. Then I knew. Greg was spot on. This could only mean trouble. The other male tried to hide by putting his head very low and lay flat. They first ran past my vehicle that was parked a few meters away from the other male, but they came to a sudden halt and turned around. In a flash, the young male jumped up and the Mapogos followed him with one thing in mind: to hunt down and destroy. Just as this all started, the other vehicles arrived on the scene just in time to see this frightening event unfolding. The battle started with the most terrifying growls and roaring. I could not believe my eyes and ears. The fierce power and fearlessness, the power and will to survive 2 against 1. But the young male did not give up easily, and every now and again he surprised us all by showing his power by fighting back. Unfortunately, he was badly injured and could no longer defend himself. Mr. T started announcing their triumph by roaring and sending the message over the African savanna. With bloody faces, new scars, and swollen legs and paws, their tired bodies needed a rest, and they lay down in the shade guarding their victim for the rest of the day. Few hours later, the 5th Majinji died of his injuries. As darkness fell, we sat in anticipation for what we all assumed would be a really vocal sighting of the 2 dominant males. Suddenly breaking the silence, the 4 young remaining males roared, followed by an instant response from the Mapogos. Spine-chilling roars creating a sinking feeling in my stomach, and we flew out of the boma onto the game viewers and round to the front to pick up the guests. As we got onto the open area in front of Nkoro Bush Lodge, we got our first visuals. Out of the tree line to the east came Kinky Tail, head up short powerful roars announcing his presence, with the 4 young males roaring back in defiance. The following seconds are a blur to me, but what I do vividly recall is Kinky Tail increasing his pace until at full speed, as if he carried no injuries at all. The 4 younger males turning and giving way. They flew past the front of our vehicle and down through the drainage line. We struggled to keep up at one stage, doing easily 60 kilometers per ph and being left behind. The lions turned west and ran along the road, the 4 males ahead and Kinky Tail right behind. As we dropped through another small drainage line and emerged on the other side, we were down to only 3. 2 of the younger coalition and Kinky right behind them. Suddenly, rival lions 3 and 4 were back on the road, but now behind Kinky Tail. The next few seconds are vague, but what is clear is that Kinky Tail ran straight into the 2 leading lions, which by this time had turned to face him, with such force that he and the lion he hit head-on virtually went head over heels. Lion 2 of the coalition tackled Kinky from behind, and shortly thereafter lions 3 and 4 joined the fray. At this point, Kinky's growls went from the low thunderous sounds we had become so accustomed to over the years to something higher pitched, something disturbing. He was in pain, and I, though, could this really be the end? Where was his brother in arms, the notorious Mr. T? For the next 15 minutes, the 4 young rivals tactically took Kinky Tail apart, before the arrival of Mr. T. Where he had been, Peter Rundle was not sure, and his arrival was less the heroic, first stumbling through a hole and then approaching the tussle seeming unsure of what was happening, as if he expected Kinky Tail to be dominating the dispute.
They'd broken his back. It was the final blow.
I couldn't believe my eyes. It was just too much. It was too much.
Unexpectedly, Mr. T arrives to defend his pride brother.
He was winning the encounter when a second lion peeled off and went to his brother's assistance. Mr. T took a serious pounding.
Then Mr. T knew it was time to run.
There goes Mr. T.
The young attackers pursue Mr. T. Kinky Tail is left alone, bleeding, injured and unable to escape.
Suddenly, the 4 came running back towards Kinky Tail.
On arriving at his body, they savagely attacked him for a second time. The smell, the sound, the sight of it all, it's a little overwhelming.
Despite the intensity, Peter and Karen must abide by the national park philosophy to let nature take its course with minimal human interference.
You always see and hear about lion fights, but now it's happening. It's real. The most gruesome stuff we could ever think about happened. They started feeding on him while he was still alive.
For lions to eat other lions is fairly unusual. It's almost like the final act of dominance over this individual that they've taken out.
They'd eaten most of his hind legs when Kinky Tail finally took his last breath. We didn't stick around for too much longer.
When we all returned to the lodge, it was just a somber mood. Nobody knew what to think, what to say.
The roaring didn't stop, not until 6, 7 o'clock the following morning. It was constant.
Karen and Peter drive out to the lion battlefield. Not much is left of Kinky Tail.
What we found there was very disturbing. We only found his head and then his 2 front paws. You can't believe something so special or so proud comes to a humble end like this.
The sight was an emotional moment. When you've spent 4 years viewing an animal of His Majesty, to now see a jackal running off with a very large portion of his mane is a little heartbreaking.
What remained are the skulls of Shaka and the 5th Majinchi. The Satan tried for weeks to protect his pride, but the Majinjis were too powerful. He had to make a decision, going back to the west and then revenge his brother. The 4 West Mapogo brothers under their leader Makulu were not enthusiastic. They had little cubs that they defended from Mr. T, but Satan knew exactly how to convince them to join in his revenge against the Majinjis. The missing Mapogo Rasta was a victim of this circumstances. The Mapogo mission started on July 5, 2010. 4 days later, on July 9th, photographer Udit Bhatia came across 4 of the hunted Majinja lanes close to the border of Kruger Park. After days of standoff with the 5 Mapogos, they were also exhausted and rested. Proof that an invisible war was raging between the 2 coalitions, invisible and inconspicuous, but dramatic scenes took place in the nights, which led to Pretty Boy most likely falling into a trap set by the 4 Majinja lane and miraculously surviving. We assume that he, together with Rasta, broke away from Makulu, Dreadlocks, and Mr. T and pursued and hunted down their brother's murderers on their own. In a fateful moment, their path crossed with poachers who caught, kidnapped, and killed Rasta. The irritated Pretty Boy suddenly found himself alone on the battlefield against the 4 intruders. We are sure that the poachers also used Makulu, Dreadlocks, and Mr. T as their goals, which led to irritation within the 5 Mapogos, which led to a split, and the actual mission came to an abrupt end. Now it was a question of survival. 1 Mapogo lost his life. 3 others fled to the west and 1 remained alone and faced the now stronger opponents who took advantage of the change and the situation for themselves. Such fatal consequences are caused by human intervention in nature. From that moment on, the history of the Mapogos took an unnatural course again. Have you ever wondered why the 4 remaining Mapogos didn't launch another action against the east from July to December? Fearless lions like Makulu, Dreadlocks, Pretty Boy, and Mr. T? Do you really believe that they were afraid of the Majinja lanes? No. Lions have very good memories, and this fatal encounter with the human scum prevented them from making short work of the Majinja lanes. It was an experience that had nothing to do with their life experiences at the time, something that frightened even them since it was not part of their lion kingdom. Although they avoided the East because of this, the beast among them, aka dreadlocks, will also fall victim to these murderers and destroyers of nature at the end of the year. The Mapogo story is already legendary, but believe me, it would have been a lot more spectacular because without these tragedies we would also have witnessed the demise of the Majingalanes and Salatus, and very probably also of the 4 Matimbas who ventured to Sabi's sand. It would be the crowning moment in the history of the lion horse. The Mapogo tragedy of 2010 ended with the disappearance of the beast, the mighty dreadlocks. Years later, it was confirmed that poachers killed him. Either way, one day we will all stand in court. The Mapogos are definitely waiting there for their hangman. And then, the billing takes place.